따란딴딴.
굉장히 쉬울 거예요.
이게 대단한 것 같아.
My name is Nahre. I'm a pianist composer, and recently I helped my mom, who is not a composer, not a musician, write her very first piece of music. I did this because I find the act of creating something original, especially music, to be very therapeutic. It can help us get through some very dark and difficult times. And recently, my mom's mother, my grandmother, passed away. And everybody was going through a rough period. I wanted to help my mom process and express some of her emotions by creating a piece of music in memory of her mother. And this is a little bit about how we put all of this together. So the very first step was actually to bring this idea up to my mom and see if she would be up for the challenge.
엄마가 뭘 작곡을 해가지고는
할머니한테 바치는 노래.
할머니한테 바치는 노래.
So like I said, she's not a musician, and this would be putting her way out of her element. And I also didn't want to burden her with anything during this emotional period. But she said yes because she loved the idea of doing something for my grandmother. And also I just assured her that if she wants to stop at any time, she's free to do so. The second step involved just gathering as many memories about my grandmother as we could in order to help us brainstorm how we want to approach all of this.
네 말 맞다나 우리가 곡을 한번 만들어 보는 게 더 의미 있고 할머니의 항상 밝고 긍정적인 그런 성격, 이쁜 거 좋아하시는 할머니를 위해서 곡을 새롭게 만들어 보면 어떨까?
Instead of doing something somber, she wanted to write a piece of music that my grandmother would have enjoyed and loved.
할머니 항상 밝고 좋은 노래, 재밌는 노래 좋아하셨으니까 그렇게 하는 게 좋을 것 같아요.
So my grandma was a very joyful person. She really loved music. She loved to sing and dance. She was always cracking jokes and smiling. And she made everybody around her feel warm.
그러니까 할머니가 좋아했던 노래가 내 나이가 어때서?
이런 걸 좋아하셨다고 할머니가. 그렇게 해서 음악 그렇게
띠리링링링 다들 그렇게 들어왔어.
이게 완전 뽕짝 이게 쿵짝 하는 식으로 쳐야 되고.
Then I took my mom to the piano, and my first attempt at getting her started kind of flopped.
그걸 참 애매하다. 그치? 그걸 피아노로 표현한다는 것도 애매하고.
So I was just asking her if she can think of a part of a melody or a particular rhythm, if she liked a certain range in the piano, and all of this was way too vague, and I can tell my mom was losing a little bit of confidence and she was just lost.
그러면 준비 과정으로 해. 생각을 해봐.
So sure enough, that evening, my mom told me that I should just write something on my own, that she didn't feel comfortable composing. But I wanted her to try one more time because I felt that the way I introduced this idea to her at the piano was a bit flawed. The next day, I took her outside with a small keyboard. Already, this is less intimidating, and I had some structure. I'll give you 4 pitches. D, F, G, B flat. 엄마가 원하는 대로 순서를 정하는 거야. 그 다음에 나서 리듬을 깔자고. So I chose the pentatonic scale because my grandmother was a huge fan of Korean trot music or trot, and this sound is present in most of the songs.
이게 들어보면 트로트에 많다고. 약간 그 느낌이 난다고. 그거에서 벗어날 수도 있어. 엄마가 원한다면. 근데 벗어난다는 걸 아시면서.
So the major pentatonic scale has 5 pitches. But I gave my mom 4 of those 5 just to make it easier, less intimidating. And I made the first note that she would naturally play, not the root, because I find that if you are overly focusing on the root note for a melody, it becomes a little square. So that's just a little adjustment I made, but I think it made a huge difference.
엄마가 쉽게 처음에 4개를 쓰다가 엄마가 comfortable 하면
위아래를 조금씩 스트레치 해.
리듬까지 정하셨네.
그게 제일 나은 것 같은데.
By giving her a solid framework and less options to work with, she seemed to come up with ideas with more confidence and ease.
그 다음에 나서 뭐가 올 것 같아? 이건 약간 아이디어 A라면 이거에 맞춰서 약간 다르지만 예를 들면 대화를 할 때 이거 다음에 뭐가 올 것 같아. 와우, 재능이 있으시네.
그러니까 네가 날 닮았나 보다. 뭔가 이렇게 새소리 같고 귀여운 이런 것들을 아기자기하고 귀여운 거 되게 좋아하시니까.
좋은데? 이게 바로 멜로디야. 올라갔다 내려갔다 올라갔다 내려갔다 다시 제자리로.
Once my mom finished her melody, I started to think of ways that I could produce this for her.
할머니 사랑을 좋아하셨고 핑크색을 좋아했으니까 그냥 그걸 두 개를 해서
핑크빛 사랑.
The key point here was to try to incorporate as many things my grandmother loved into the music.
이렇게 뮤직박스 소리 같은 거 이런 거 좋아하셨거든. 그러니까 또 피아노 소리.
So this part of the process was very meaningful for me because I was able to sit down and remember so many little details about my grandmother and the way she appreciated music. Even though we actually never talked about music, I knew that she appreciated the sound of the piano, many different instruments.
장구 소리 이런 거. 약간 흥행을 돋굴 수 있는 그런
밝은 소리.
밝은 소리. 그러면은 춤추고 싶어 하시고 이렇게 어깨춤을 추시고 그런 걸 되게 좋아하셨어. 가야금 같아.
가야금 같은 소리지.
While choosing the sounds and instruments to put into the music, it was more about remembering and imagining what she would really enjoy rather than choosing things that maybe sound better or I think sound better. And this was very, very special. And it gave me a chance to feel close to her again with music. Next, I had my mom learn and practice her music since I wanted her to actually perform it herself. I knew she could do it, even though we had a very limited amount of preparation time. And it was also a great opportunity for her to go back and review her music. She can change certain things. She actually changed her mind about the rhythm in a few parts and about the tempo.
오, 엄마가 벌써 핑거링을 해놨네.
여기다 이렇게 했었어. 이게 더 쉬워서 그렇게 했어 나는.
그래요?
응. 이거 봐라.
I know. 나한테 테크닉 레슨을 줘.
And now we present to you 핑크빛 사랑 or Pink Love.
엄마, 내가 생전 처음으로 엄마를 위해서 곡을 써봤어요. 지영이 도움으로. 잘 들어보세요.
어머니 사랑해요.
더 깊게 어머니의 사랑을 느낄 수 있었고 더 깊게 어머니의 따뜻함을 더 느낄 수 있었고 음악으로 내가 표현을 해보겠다라는 생각을 안 해봤는데 해보니까
재밌지?
또 할 수 있지 않을까? 이렇게 그런
도움도 되고 뭔가 마음에 있는 이모션들이 좀
조금 많이 이렇게
정리가
되는 것 같기도 하고 내 이게 멘탈 헬스에 되게 도움이 되는 것 같아요.
곡을 쓰는 게 더 재밌었어요? 아니면 치는 게 더 재밌었어요? 재미는 어려운 거 말고
재미는 곡을 쓰는 게 더 재밌었어 난. 그게
그치?
어떻게 리듬을 이렇게 할까 저렇게 할까 요걸 붙일까 저걸 붙일까 막 이런 게
그게 되게 자연스러웠던 것 같아요. What do you want to say?
했잖아 더. Thank you for watching. 그거만
다 찍은 거야.
다 찍은 거야. 거기서 이제 편집을 해. 이상한 거 넣지 말고.
If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to watch more videos about the creative and technical sides of making music. And a very special thank you to my patrons on Patreon for making these videos possible.